Hi, Mona. Thank you for joining me on the Courage to Fall podcast.
Thanks.
Uh,
It's a pleasure.
yes. It was good seeing you at the conference also. It
Same.
was good seeing you at the conference. It was a good one.
Yes, I agree.
So for the people who do not know you, how would you like to introduce yourself so
hmm
that they can frame everything, context, in what capacity?
Yes, definitely. So yeah, I'm known to be, of course, an educator. So I have been in the higher education business for more than 15 years now. But also, I come from an engineering background, so I'm a tech savvy person. Always, I seek, innovation, and also I'm a change maker. So I am a social entrepreneur, and I help communities in different capacities and ways. And I think I'm not just like one identity. I'm a mix of these three things, basically.
Three as in tech,
Yes,
change maker, and
and
innovator,
educator.
and an educator.
True. So for me, tech and innovation go hand in hand, really. So that's
Okay.
my, tech innovation part. There's, of course, the most apparent one is the education part and the change making part, which is related to social entrepreneurship.
And that's all under the Dr. Itani umbrella, right?
Right. True.
What is what is courage for you?
So if I want to frame it in a bit academic way, it would be similar to what we talk about risk taking, in entrepreneurship is like daring to try, even though you know you might fail, and taking, the steps needed to get to do something new, maybe out of the box, out of your comfort zone. So this is how I see courage.
So courage out of your comfort zone, trying something new.
Right.
Is there and taking risks,
Right.
calculated risks?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, in your personal life, sometimes you can be a bit adventurous. I have this small adventurous side of me on a personal level. But yeah, never doing something that's too crazy, let's say, or um, too weird. So it is, I would say, most of the time, calculated risk, definitely.
And when you calculate, what happens to courage?
No, I mean, look, also, I think part of courage and the way I define it is to having the audacity to act without taking too much time to think it through. I mean, you have to think it through a little bit just to make sure,
Mhm.
like, for example, what are the odds of me succeeding or failing? Like, what happens if I fail, right? There's also a concept in entrepreneurship we call affordable loss. Like, what happens? Okay, will I like end up on the streets or will I still survive, right? So this is it, like just calculating it, not too deeply, not too thoroughly, not for a long time, because sometimes if you just spend too much time doing this calculation, you miss on the opportunity and it wouldn't be innovation anymore, or like so you'd miss on the core of this opportunity. So you have to make your decisions quickly as well. I think this is part of courage, to having again the audacity to act quickly, but not to say that you act without thinking. Like, I can never say that.
And the adventure side, you mentioned adventure.
Adventure for me, I mean, again, on a personal level, this is something like I like to try new things. For example, when traveling, I like to do adventurous activities. Although, I mean, again, some people would say, oh, this is too dangerous. I I mean, of course, I wouldn't do something that's super crazy and without the safety precautions and all of that. But yeah, I like to explore nature. I like to do like zip lining, skydiving, these kinds of stuff. And doesn't mean I'm not afraid to do it, right? But I like uh, tell myself like you can do it, and I like encourage myself to do these things because again, it's like a once in a lifetime experience. And I've always been, I think, this adventurous person since I was a young person, and I try as I grow older to sustain a part of it. Of course, you lose part of it as well, like naturally. But also with the right self talk, you can keep some of it alive. And this is what I try to do.
Have you bungee jumped or
I've done,
skydived?
yeah, I've done paragliding, for example. I think that was the biggest like thing I've done. But I would do skydiving definitely. I'm just waiting for the right opportunity. It's on my list. I would do like zip lining in the jungle, those you see in Bali and things like that. Like these are on my list, right? So, bungee jumping, I don't think I enjoy it. Like knowing who you are, also like it's important to know what you like and what you don't like. I don't think it's a joyful experience to me. Like I don't like the feeling of hanging upside down and things like that. It's not something fun, but I like definitely like flying or like having this feeling of like freedom over nature. So and I'm not afraid of like free fall or things like that. Like of course I do a lot of extreme roller coasters and things like that, so I still do. My husband calls me crazy, but I don't think it is crazy.
It's not.
No, I don't think so. It's safe. I mean, again, it's engineered. It's I mean, again, I judge by looking at the place. I mean, of course, you can't always judge a book by its cover, but like, if you're in a decent country, let's say, in a decent place, and the theme park looks so very well maintained, I do it. Like, I would say it should be well maintained and all of that. So, yeah, this is taking the risk because once in a while you see this video of people being stuck, in a roller coaster for I don't know how many hours, and my husband will be sending them to me. He's like, "Oh, check it out." But yeah, I think it's worth it.
Can you? So that's the adventurous side
Yeah.
of you. Have you taken the adventure, the innovation, the risk taking, the courage, uh, all these concepts into not your personal life, but in on something else?
Definitely, I think this has shaped my career. So, for example, the first career leap I did was risk was taking risk. So I was a telecom engineer and working for honestly a very very good multinational company. And I decided I want to take a risk and just like resign and do something completely different. This is where I actually joined academia as a part timer. So I joined academia as a nobody, if you want to say. And maybe, I mean, I didn't exactly know what was waiting for me then, but definitely that was a big step that not everybody would do. So I would say starting over is not that easy, and I've done it like multiple times in my career or my professional life. And I wouldn't lie and say it's a beautiful feeling. No, because it's not great when you feel that you're starting all over again and you're a junior again. And again, I've done it multiple times. But if you know why you're doing it, then you persevere and you bear the consequences, and you uh, just like accept it until things change and you're not a junior anymore and you're not a starter anymore. So I did it again when I started in academia. I did it again when I started as an entrepreneur. So I was an academic doing research, teaching, and I was pursuing my PhD because I realized again, if I want to not be treated as a nobody, I have to be trustworthy. To be trustworthy in academia, you have to earn a doctorate degree. So I was okay, I'm going to do that. Put the plan, worked on that, all of it. As I was doing my research, which is on entrepreneurship, uh, I was getting much closer to the ecosystem, to the people in the ecosystem, and they knew me as this academic researcher. Like, this is who I am. And suddenly I started a business, right? And again, I started as a nobody, like, oh, this academic researcher is now starting a business. She's now an entrepreneur. um like, she's academic, when we say she's academic, it's like theoretical, not too practical, right? Would she be able to do things right, and would she be able to do things effectively, and so on. So that was another time when I, like, also started from scratch, if you want to say. A third time when I started from scratch is also in academia, when I shifted into what we call the professorial rank. So after earning my PhD, I applied to new, although I also was in a really good position at AUB, doing very impactful work. I was very happy with my job. But again, if you want to grow, you have to step out of your comfort zone. So what I did, again, I applied to a professorial rank position in a different school. So I was moving from the engineering school to the business school, and I got an offer as an assistant professor. Again, assistant professor is the bottom of the ladder in a professorial rank. Sometimes people who are 25 would be assistant professors. So they're fresh from, finishing their PhD program. They come as assistant professors. In my case, it was different. I had already 15 years of experience. I already was an entrepreneur, doing too much in the entrepreneurship space. So I already had a lot of experience, and to be seen and regarded as a junior isn't easy when you are an experienced person. So that was also difficult, um, because again, like, you're starting from scratch. And although you try to tell people, like, I have all this experience and all that, but again, your title says something else. Your title says you're a junior faculty member, for example. So you have to
Why?
make these struggles.
Why do you do what you do? Why do you start over? Why do you put yourself in a junior position yet again for the second or third or however nth time? What drives you? Where's the why behind it?
So it's actually a longer term vision. So it's the vision that tells you, okay, so for example, I was in telecom. Uh, since I was at university, I didn't see myself uh, sticking in that industry for a long time. I
Mhm.
saw the benefit of it, I saw the importance of it, but for a short period of time. Like, I wanted that experience, but again, I wasn't extremely passionate in a way that I would say I want to stay my whole life there. So I shifted. And then when I shifted again, it's also like, when I shifted back into entrepreneurship, I think life just took me there, to be honest. This was the only time. It wasn't like a completely rational decision. It was like I just found myself becoming an entrepreneur. It was very organic, I would say, very unplanned, very and I always tell the story. So I was already very busy with my life. I already had two kids. My husband was saying, you need to get a third. And I was already doing my PhD. I was already teaching at the UB. So I was already full handed, but at the same time, there was really this calling to do something, because I found like an opportunity or a gap. And I just really couldn't sleep at night for some nights, just thinking, okay, maybe if we can do this, this would be a nice business. We can do this, we can do this. And then I was like, I'm not gonna fight this anymore. I'm just gonna start with it and take it slow. Like, I'm not gonna leave my job and just dedicate myself to the business, but I'm gonna try to do things in parallel. And this is what happened.
Was it the adventurer in you that went along? What is it that was bugging you? So you talked about the vision. Vision is important,
Right,
but it didn't come across to me, at least. What's your vision at the time?
right,
I don't know what's your vision today, because if we look at you as a telecom engineer and then look at you as a researcher, and then look at you as a social entrepreneur, and now look at you as a faculty member.
Yeah.
Were these steps to reach somewhere that I still don't know what it is? Maybe you don't know what it is. I have no idea.
I have reflected on it, I would say. I think, yes, I think I know a little bit what it is. I mean, because you never know surely what it is. But as a mother, I would say, I became a mother when I was only 24 years old, so pretty young. So motherhood shaped really who I am, like my mature self, like my professional self. And I was, always, I remember something when I got engaged to my husband. I told him something. I was like, you know what? Let's not have kids. And he told me like, why are you saying this? And I was telling him like, because the world is so cruel. It's like not a good place to raise children. Like it's full of corruption and all these issues. Like, should we really uh, raise a family? Like, does the world need more kids, basically? But him coming from like a family oriented home, like this was like, completely out of question. I was like, definitely we're gonna have kids. Like this is unnegotiable. So we had kids, right? And when I first had my first child, I was like, okay, what can I do actually to contribute to this generation and to do something that is that would help them have a better place to live, to make the world a better place. So there's this cliche, which I think is partially true, is like it's partially about changing the world and making it a better place. I totally believe in that. Of course, when I first moved into academia, maybe it wasn't that vision. It was maybe like I wanted to have more time to be around my kids. I wanted some flexibility in terms of time because back then in the telecom industry, they didn't have flexibility arrangements for working mothers and so on. Now it's better. But when I was still there, I remember the best thing they could give me is like 2 months of unpaid leave. Like that was it. And I had it, like I took it, but it wasn't enough for me. So I went into something that was more flexible, would allow me to be closer, to raising my kids and so on. And this is where, again, I got introduced to this whole entrepreneurship world. And when I got introduced to the entrepreneurship world, I saw the opportunities that we can have there. And in Lebanon back then, the focus was like, how can we create the Silicon Valley of the Middle East? How can we create these tech companies that would become unicorns? And for me, that was like a bit surreal, a bit unrealistic. Like I didn't buy it, to be honest. And that was back in 2016, right? So I don't know if Tony you remember, but like that was the peak of, let's say, the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Lebanon. We had a lot of funding, a lot of activity, people actually coming back from abroad, like the diaspora coming back to be part of building this ecosystem. And I was like, what are they talking about? Like, Lebanon is full of problems, and this is before the crisis. We have to use entrepreneurship to actually help solve some of these problems. And again, this came from me being a mother, I would say, like seeing all these problems around us and wanting to do something about it. And I was like, okay, I'm an educator and I'm researching entrepreneurship. I think what we need in Lebanon is more social entrepreneurship. And in order to do that, I mean, again, what did I do best? Work with youth, right? Work like
Mhm.
with the people who are getting educated in the education world. And I was like, let's create something where they can actually learn how to become social entrepreneurs. And I would call it planting the seed of social entrepreneurship. Like this was our motto. And this is how it all started. So I think the vision was, again, to help uh, create a better place for my kids and for the youth that I worked very closely with. And then the third vision, when I did my third career shift, was like a vision of growth, actually. Because although even sometimes you are doing something you like, but you see that it might not have a growth prospects in the future. So although I again moved into something that is more junior, but this has more prospects of growth. So it has a clear career ladder and a clear potential, leadership avenues where I can do even more change and more impact. So this is why I made these multiple, leaps and switches.
So you like, if I understand correctly, you were talking about the vision was. The vision is today,
Yeah.
if I read you right, is to have to create impact as a person.
Yes.
And in this case, you're applying it to society, but narrow it down to the entrepreneurship space. Is that
Now,
fair?
I wouldn't say narrow it down to the entrepreneurship space simply because what we do, whether at AUB or what I do outside AUB, we just train youth on different skill sets and a mindset, what you call the social innovation mindset. And they're not necessarily entrepreneurs yet. So we don't limit, our target audience to entrepreneurs. On the contrary, what I did in my business is start at the high school level because I personally thought that starting at university level could be a bit too late. So why don't we go even, earlier and start with high schoolers? And the plan was to go to middle school and so on over time, so that we again plant this seed of innovation very early on. So it's about education still. So the what's common in all of these is the educator in me, the person who cares about the youth a lot, as a mother, I would say, and the person who sees that we collectively can make change. Like I am an optimist, I would say, and I do believe that human beings are capable of creating positive change, of creating innovations that help fix the problems of their planet. And I keep on talking about this in my classes, in everything I do. It's a choice. Like the human beings just have to decide which path they want to take.
So let's say, what would not make you start up again, start over, and become a junior,
Yeah, I don't know,
right?
to be honest. Yeah. It's not that it's a hobby of mine, right? It's not a hobby like to start over, but I
I
think,
didn't say that. I
yeah,
didn't say that. All I'm saying is now it feels like you're comfortable.
right. Um, of course, like if you again, let's say if my current vision
Hmm.
is realized, I don't need to start again, right?
What
But
is it? What
again,
is it,
it's
Mona?
to create more impact, as you mentioned, to be able to make real change. When I say impact, again, I'm borrowing some ideas from the entrepreneurship literature and space. So for me, impact is massive impact. It's not just like, I mean, I love changing a few people's lives, and I've, alhamdulillah, done this already, and I'm very proud
Hmm.
of it. But I want to create like big impact, you know what I mean? Scalable impact.
That's your vision.
Yes.
How does it, what does it look like? Like if you ponder and say, if this happens, then I'm happy.
So again, it's about creating a mind shift in
Hmm.
youth about how we should think of innovation and technology and how we should leverage it uh, to serving humanity, the planet, and the social good. Like for me now, especially with the AI, revolution and everything happening, we are at a crossroads. Like I'm very convinced about this, and again, humanity is at a major decision. Like, how should we continue? Like, is it just about who does AI better and who commercially gains more, and how do we who will actually monopolize this multi-trillion-dollar market? Or is it about, again, fixing this broken planet and really leveraging this technology to make sure we do things more efficiently, we use less natural resources than more. We actually help each other, reduce inequality, reduce poverty. And by the way, AI is capable of doing that. It is capable if we decide that this is how we want to use it. So this is for me like how we should be thinking about it. And again, I think everything, all the ingredients we talked about uh, that make up who I am, help me achieve this.
Uh, Allow me to argue. May I argue with you a little bit? Usually I'm a listener, right? And I ask more invoking question, but I, I see everything you mentioned is a solid premise. You
Hmm.
know, the ethical side of use of technology, in this case, AI,
Yeah.
and I personally respect it and admire that approach. Now, I go back to the question, what would not make you start over again? This sounds like a great drive, but when are you satisfied where you don't have to start over again? When is it where you feel that you're on the right track, and even if you spend on it 10, 20, 30, 40 more years?
Again, when you yes, when you see that yourself doing the impact that you have in mind, and when you see that, for me, growth is important. When you see that you can keep growing in what you're doing. And I just want to tell you something, like, for example, I have been at AUB for 15 years. I mean, some people would, if they look at this from afar, think, oh, like, wow, she's been like doing the same thing for 15 years. It's not like that. I mean, many times you can start over again within, where you are. So this is what we call entrepreneurship. And I think I will always start over again in that sense, inside where I am, because I am somebody who likes change and not afraid of change. And I'm somebody who has a lot of ideas, right? So this is I'm entrepreneurial. Like I'm an initiative taker. I like to again fix problems. To do that, you have to start new things. For example, new programs, new projects. And this is why I like AUB and my job, because it gives me this autonomy to a certain extent, of course, where I can start new projects, new initiatives, and like if you want to look at it this way, I will always be starting again, right? But again, if you look at it from an outsider perspective, no, I mean, I'm still doing what I've been doing for a while. But I can't get rid of this, I would say, entrepreneurial self. On the contrary, I extremely endorse it. And I don't know if you want to talk about why I stopped my business, but like this was one of the reasons that allowed me to make such a big decision of like killing your baby, let's say, when I knew that at AUB I would still be able to create more babies, let's say, or to or to do
Hmm.
things that I find impactful and important.
Very interesting the way you approach things. So in entrepreneurship, maybe not maybe, obviously, there's the all sorts of equity on the line, whether it is the uh, uh, intangible equity or whether it is actual resources, financial resources are on the line. In entrepreneurship, and in your case, at the American University of Beirut, it's your uh, your name is on the line, right? And your so if you were to jump and start over with a new project, like you said, within a certain framework, it gives you that flexibility, and that's great. And redeploying within the organization, it is big enough where people can actually shift and redeploy given where they are in their career path, right? But that bug that you have, the bug that you have, it seems that this is not going anywhere, right?
I think,
That
yeah,
that
I mean,
challenge, the
becomes
adventure.
it
Is it
becomes part
DNA?
of your identity. I don't know if it's DNA, to be honest. Like maybe a bit of it, but it's something you nurture. I mean, I always tell my students, like many times in class, I ask them to sketch stuff, sketch with like a pencil and a paper. And a lot of them would be like, really? Like, why? Why do we have to do that? And
Mm,
I would tell them, like, I know it sometimes feels difficult because they think they're not creative or they don't know how to
mm,
sketch something. Many of them don't even have a paper and a pen anymore, right? But I would be like, please try it. And
mhm,
by the way, like, we all were very creative when we were at elementary school, and we kind of lose that with over time. But you can definitely again like rekindle it, and this is something that happened to me when I entered the entrepreneurship space. I worked a lot on myself, on my skills. I went through a lot of training programs both in Lebanon and in other countries, and this again rekindled all this creativity, the spark, not being afraid to get out of the box, and like doing again things out of your comfort zone. So I retrained my brain, if you want to say, to embrace this, to accept it, to enjoy it, and to look for it. This is something I believe everybody is capable of doing. It's just about will. And I try to put my students sometimes in these uncomfortable situations. Some
mhm.
of them would appreciate it and admire it and thank me for it. And some of them just don't feel comfortable at all and don't understand, why are we doing this? Should we really do that? So it's very like different between one person and the other. But definitely, this is something that I'm proud of. You know, like this bug, if you want to call it, or fire, or um, wanting to achieve impact and to make change is something I don't want to change about myself, and it has become like a constant value that I live by. So also this is something that is important as we mature and grow older, to know exactly what is so important to us that it becomes like one of our core values. And definitely these are some of my core values. And I, in my upbringing of my kids, I also try to instill them. In my classes, I try to instill them. In everything I do, I try to live by these values and abide by them.
What's a big challenge for you today? What's a big challenge that you're thinking?
Other than AI.
What about AI? What
uh,
about
so
it?
so I mean, I'm really engaging with a lot of AI content, AI related content, uh,
Okay.
to also stay up to date and know what's going on, because this is also relevant to my teaching and my field of, again, innovation and so on. So I wouldn't lie to you, there is a very scary side of the future that might be coming to us, and at the same time there is a more optimistic side. So I do get scared many times, especially when I'm, scrolling my social media accounts at night before sleeping, and you see all of these videos, warning videos from experts. Mind you, it's not like noise. It's experts who are very knowledgeable about AI and the technology. Some of them have also been called the godfathers of this, technology. They have been doing research for many decades on this, and they're warning us about what might come next, what might happen to humanity. They talk about bioweapons. They talk about more wars, basically, because without soldiers, and more countries would be willing to get into wars because they have nothing to lose now. And there'll be more inequity, more injustice. And this is like, it disturbs me so much, right? I don't want to live in that world, to be honest. Like, it's very difficult to imagine that this is where we're going, and this is where I say, okay, let me use my voice and my knowledge and my skills to try to advocate the youth to be the opponents of this direction. to say, okay, how we want to use AI, how do we want to imagine a future with AI. It is inevitable nowadays. Like we cannot imagine a future without it. But what would the future look with it? So this is something that I try to actively engage again the students and talk about whenever I have a chance. Like today, like in other webinars I'm involved in, or sessions when I'm invited as a guest or as a speaker. So yeah, it is a scary time, I would say. And as I mentioned, many experts believe we're at a crossroads in humanity. And it's nothing like the history. Like many people would say, oh, but we've had this in the Industrial Revolution, for example. And when you dig deeper into that argument, there are a lot of fallacies there. It's not similar, it's very different. So yeah, this is something that worries me a lot, I would say. And I mean, now one of my growth plans is to earn a certification as an AI ethicist. So this is, I mean, although AI is very promising, and like you always try to see, okay, where do I fit in this picture, right? And
Hmm.
for me, I found myself in the ethical part. Like this is where I found myself. If I want to do anything with AI, it would be again to help set guardrails, to help set hopefully regulations, especially in this part of the world where we're still a bit, behind when it comes to thinking of how this should be regulated and what does it mean for companies using it, what does it mean for user data, what does it mean for, our future, basically.
How
So
do you
I think I'm excited about.
how do you reconcile between you being the optimist, the positive,
Hmm.
and you being scared from
Yeah.
AI and looking at the dark side of it?
Right. Actually, this is very difficult. I will confess that it's not an easy balance. Like, how do
Hmm.
you maintain this balance? And here, I would say this another like part of me maybe we haven't talked about yet is the spiritual part.
Hmm.
This is when you like are really not sure what to do and how to think about something, and nothing makes sense anymore. You just resort to like a higher power and say, I'm sure everything would be okay, you know? So this is where spirituality comes in, I would say, and prayer, and just like, yeah, saying that, okay, God is with us, hopefully he will protect us, like, things like that. So it helps. And also I would say, like, from a more pragmatic perspective, reading the opposite view, right? So let's say, the algorithm will feed you what you want to hear. So the algorithm has learned that I like these videos that warn you about everything bad that's gonna happen. But I try to engage with the other also view, which is the optimistic side.
My
Like,
my my view. I subscribe to the that too shall pass,
okay, great, excellent. So yeah, I
right?
try
And
to engage with such also content, and this would
mhm.
help in terms of, okay, maybe they're right.
So you keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Speaking of keep going, what keeps you going? It seems that the challenges you two picked up on AI. What keeps you going every day?
So first of
In,
all,
mhm.
yeah, like
Sorry.
I think the also part of my research about resilience and entrepreneurial resilience and all of that, and I want to borrow some of my research subjects take on that. It's like one big reason you keep going because you don't have another choice. Like
Okay.
I have to keep going. I don't have a choice, right? And I totally believe in this. Like many of us, especially in this part of the world where we have, what we call a context of polycrisis, we keep going not because we are as strong as others would like to think, or like we are, superhumans. No, because I mean, what other choice do we have? I have to wake
Okay.
up every morning,
Fair.
go to work, make money. I have to do it. So this is one. And another thing is again, like this optimistic view of like I can make a difference, I can help out, I have a role or a duty to do something in this world. So I come from this school of thought where um, again I believe that we have been placed on earth to do something. Like each one of us has a job or a role or a task. For me it's again about education, it's about raising awareness, about guiding people um, to doing things ethically, to doing things in a way that's in the interest of humanity. So also this like bigger purpose, let's say, keeps you going.
You know, as you're mentioning all this today, I'm reflecting to some of my experiences, right? And I remember one of my friends challenging me. I was in my 20s, finishing my working on my doctorate or master's degree. I don't really remember when, but and I was talking, changing the world, exactly what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying now. And he said, "What do you mean?" And we argued like for an hour, 2 hours, and then I had to quantify it for myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, if in my lifetime, if I can impact positively 200 people, I put a number. I don't know why I said 200.
Yeah, yeah.
200 people, then I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
I reflected back not too long ago, like several decades after my 20s,
Yeah,
and I had beat that 200
yeah,
people, at least in my opinion, by
yeah.
so many orders of magnitude, right? And at one point, I still felt that it wasn't enough.
Right.
And I was still picking up tools, certifications, as you mentioned, whatever.
Yeah.
And I still was running after until some other things happened where I felt, now I understand. So I'm inviting you. I give you this personal example because I feel, at least I'm feeling from, and I'm being very candid here, that you have a wonderful goal or drive. Let's put it, it's not a goal, it's a drive.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You have an excellent, so humane premise. You, I don't think you have uh, the enough factor when you say, okay, this is enough tools I have. It feels like more tools are good. To reach, that's my problem with my discussing with you, my problem of understanding.
Yeah.
To reach it's not a goal, and I tried to extract from you a goal. When would you feel, when
Mm-hmm.
is your 200 people satisfied, right? Or whatever that goal is.
Yeah.
I'm
Look,
not
yeah,
sure if I was,
yeah, I
I
think
was, hmm,
I got your point. And I want to argue against this school of thought, if I may.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, what you're trying to say is that we should have in our life something that tells us, okay, we're doing enough. I'm
not should.
against,
There is no should.
yeah, I'm against this. And yes, I do believe that we should always have a drive to do more. And I believe in this. And when when there's a day when I say, okay, I've done enough, I think I would be at my deathbed, to be honest. So I am this kind of
That's
person.
good though. I mean, not be on your deathbed, but when you said because life, life is going to end, and the
Yeah, of course.
desire to do
I
the
totally know
desire.
this and I accept it. I totally
Okay,
accept it, right?
okay,
But
okay.
again, I believe as long as I'm living and I have energy and power and every, like brain power, muscular power, any kind of power, I should be trying to do more and to again impact more lives. And this is why maybe I've never put a cap on how many people I would like to impact. I mean, in my mind, it would be millions, right? But I mean, I now know roughly maybe a number of in terms of how many people I've impacted. But yeah, I mean, I want to keep trying to do more and better. And I think this is at the essence of living. And again, this is about going every day, because if a day comes when I said I've done enough, then what's the goal of living? There's no goal, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting conversation. I refer you back to a gentleman who's respected, Muhammad Gaudat, Mo Gaudat.
Okay.
And one interviewer asked him, he said, "What's your legacy? What do you want your legacy to be?"
Yeah.
He said something to the effect, nothing. Nothing. He just wants to, of course, he has made so much impact
Yeah,
already.
yeah,
And he
100%.
has a good, he is a brand by himself. But the whole idea of nothing and reaching for more is, some people want more, a bigger,
Yeah,
more
money.
expensive car, right?
Right. No, it's
A
not.
bigger ship, a bigger yacht,
Yes.
right? Uh, More money,
Yeah.
more whatever. And some
Yeah.
other, in your more is more human impact,
Yes, exactly.
right?
Hmm.
But it's still more.
Yeah, but it's a very different more.
I know, I
It's
know,
not
I know.
materialistic, it's not
Yeah.
self-centered. Um, it's on the contrary, it's about again building a planet of people that coexist and that respect one another and that work together for the betterment of again humanity. So this I believe like this. I mean, more. What does it mean more? Yani, let's say more could be when I don't know, in my 80s, is like I'm still impacting one person every now and then. It's just, it is more, it's not like much more, but it's like I'm still doing something. I still have something to do, not just like I'm completely worthless and useless.
I
uh
like I I like that. You're already putting it into perspective. I personally like that, and this is where a few tricks can be used. In my case, it's the 1%.
mm.
I want to do 1% better in one thing in my life every day.
No, 1% is a big number, by the way.
I know,
Yeah,
I know. Whatever,
you're very ambitious. You're more ambitious than me.
really? But in one thing, not the other, right? Personal, whatever. Wow, this this is a very interesting conversation uh, for a multi-talented, multi-experienced person. You you definitely came across as a change maker, as an innovator, as an educator, as a mother, as a believer, many facets, right?
Yeah.
And you hinted to as a wife. Your husband supported you, I'm sure,
Yeah,
with all this. You have a wonderful support.
true.
What's the biggest reflection from our discussion today, if I may ask?
Yeah. Uh, I mean, for me, it's about not being afraid to start all over again. And like, again, one thing maybe I didn't dwell on, which is a big part of my journey, is accepting to let go of something very dear to you, something you believe deeply in, and at some point, maybe you're giving all your heart in, which is my business, to do something in your opinion that could also on the long run have more impact. So this is not something a lot of people talk about, exiting your business or killing your business or letting go of your baby. Again, a lot of people say it's a baby at the end of the day when you start a business. For me, this has given me great lessons. I mean, I'm writing a whole autoethnography paper on that because it's not something that is talked much about in the entrepreneurship literature, especially from like the woman leadership perspective. So for me, it's again like not being afraid to make these leaps of faith, Um, as long as, of course, you believe that on the long run, you're going to benefit and there's a bigger cause for doing this. Although at the beginning it will look like a setback, or like I'm, down, being downgraded, or I'm starting fresh, which is difficult. It's not easy to live with and to tolerate and to handle. But at the same time, you have to keep your eyes on, like, the long-term goal, and this will help you keep going. As you mentioned, like, why do you keep going? Because when you have also a vision in mind, then it would be easier for you to keep going.
If you have a few more minutes, let's go there. Let's talk about this a little bit more. Tell me about what was it, what did it do, and until we reach the point where you made a decision.
Right.
What did
So,
you,
mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
So my business actually is related to my career as an educator. Okay, so again, we always tell our students, when you start a business, it's best to do something that you already have knowledge and expertise in. So again, I have been an educator at AUB for maybe 6, 7 years when I started my business. And as I mentioned, I realized that there was a lot of focus on just like commercial entrepreneurship and creating the next Silicon Valley, which was a bit unrealistic. And we know how things unfolded. So my vision of it being unrealistic was correct. And I was like, we have to create an educational platform where we actually leverage this interest of youth in entrepreneurship and help them create social impact through social innovation and social entrepreneurship. So, as you see, the SDGs behind me, this is one of the
Mhm.
I created as part of my business to help youth get more acquainted with the sustainable development goals in a fun way, in a hands-on, engaging game way. So it started off as in-person trainings, very like normal trainings. You would book a venue, but it's very like always hands-on based, engaging, a lot of practical, knowledge dissemination. They do things, and it was. I'll tell you why this experience. I still like cherish it so much because the impact was real. How do I mean it was real? First of all, this wasn't like part of university program where people had to go through it. Like, it was very voluntary. So people who really believed in this would come and join. So the people were very much into it. They really wanted to learn and they gave their all. So they were fully engaged. And having said that, the impact was always very visible. Like, you could see that these people have really changed the way they think, or they have now these ideas. Many of them became actual entrepreneurs, became social entrepreneurs. Many of them we're still in contact with. They still thank me every now and then. I'll say, like, please stop thanking me. The impact was tangible. And this is what made it difficult, I would say, at a later stage. So I did that for like around 6 or 7 years.
What was it called? The social enterprise?
Yada for social innovation. It's the legal
Okay.
name. And through it also, we decided, because we wanted to increase the impact and to scale the impact, we created an e-learning platform called Shabab Lab. And this
Mhm.
was set up in nature. And it's not just focused on Lebanon. And we worked actually with schools from Qatar, schools from Saudi Arabia. Yani we did a lot in terms of outreach. I did a lot of traveling and all of that. And we did like succeed to a certain extent. Alhamdulillah, we didn't lose money, although we didn't raise a lot of money as well. So it was a successful business, but it's a social enterprise at the same time. So we didn't do like a lot of profit, only a little bit, but it was impactful profit and it was like meaningful. When I actually took this new job of assistant professor, it became very difficult to keep doing both jobs, if you want to say. So I was overseeing the business, not involved in the everyday operations, but still, I mean, I couldn't find somebody, although I tried. Like, I hired multiple people as managing directors, and they would like leave after 2 months, 4 months. Like, the country situation wasn't great back then. We were at the middle of COVID, and the financial crisis. We couldn't pay very high salaries to retain people and all of that. So it was very difficult to retain talent, if you want to say, and attract talent. And this is a common startup problem.
Mhm.
And also, it became evident to me that if this had to scale, it would have to scale outside Lebanon, which meant that I had to move. And by moving, again, I'm a mother, I had three kids, I have a family. Like, there's a lot of consequences of moving. I have to either move my entire family or move on my own and have to bear the separation anxiety and all that. So at some point, I was like, okay, I've tried, and I think I have to put things on hold because it's much more complicated. And given the circumstances around me, it's not going to work the way I envision it at this point in time. So I was not able to raise like big investment because I was not fully dedicated to the company. Being in Lebanon didn't help the company to grow too much because the market was very weak, and having to grow it outside meant to move outside. Like, this is something I realized after traveling around and asking and so on. So there were too many decisions to be made, and I decided I'm gonna again put my family first, and this is something I've always done. And that this impact that I was building, and alhamdulillah, yani, it's still tangible until today. I'm gonna like rekindle and restart from in my capacity as an educator, which is something I'm continuing to do. So I continue to do hackathons, service projects and programs with the same vision and mission that I was working on at Riyadh, but from a different hat, under a different umbrella, under a different organization. So the decision again came uh, not as an easy decision. It was very difficult. I had to really like go through this emotional roller coaster of what if, of guilt, of failure. Like, by the way, the feeling of failure is so bad. Like, many times I would say I failed, and like, this was difficult for me because, again, in addition to being an entrepreneur myself, I'm an entrepreneurship coach and mentor, and I always tell entrepreneurs you have to persevere, persevere, persevere. And I was like saying to myself, Mona, you didn't persevere. Like, you didn't do the one thing you keep saying, right? So it's very difficult. But I got through it. Maybe it took me 1 year, of really like emotional, turmoil. And I don't know if it was depression or what, but like, it was a very difficult 1 year where I had to do a lot of self reflection, a lot of journaling, a lot of these things until I was like um, at ease with the decision, and I can now talk about it. I mean, for many months, I wouldn't talk about it. I couldn't talk about it, and I even like kept away from the ecosystem because I didn't want them to ask like what happened to it. What I didn't want to talk about it. So yeah, all of this I'm reflecting. I'm still reflecting on. I'm writing also, as I told you, and then so making use of these cases also as for research. And it's an interesting topic that is not very well discussed in the literature, I would say.
In hindsight, now, could you have done anything different to keep Riyadh going?
In my mind now, the only thing I
Yeah.
could have done was to be 100% dedicated to it. But I don't know if that would have actually rescued it, to be honest. Like, given, as I mentioned, all the external circumstances. But in my mind, yeah, that was the only way. Like, for me to quit everything else and say, this is what I'm focusing on. But that I also like, and this is something I say for the very first time, that would have been also a bit selfish from my side. Was that probably that's why I didn't do it, because I'm not used to be a selfish person. And that would definitely have been a selfish decision, right? Like I'm gonna focus on this, even though I know it might fail. And what does failure in entrepreneurship mean? It means losing money at the end of the day, right? So, and I don't think I was ready to do that because, again, I don't see myself as one person. I see myself as part of a bigger family, and I don't want my kids to to be at the burden of my entrepreneurial loss or something like that. So I cut the losses before they started, if you want to say.
What if one of those people who you tried to hire worked out and was able to take charge
Uh,
and move it forward?
I think it would have been still going until today.
So that could have been an option if
I,
you
I
lucked out.
tried this option actually. Like I tried hiring multiple people, not just one.
Mm.
But also, like, how would I say, like, maybe there's something that no one knows until they engage with hiring. It's a very tough process because when you're hiring somebody, you're handing them over a lot of the tasks, the knowledge, all that. And when like they leave after 2 months, you feel okay, everything I've done has gone to waste. All the time, the effort has gone to waste. So you have to do it all over again, right? And again, it takes a lot of energy. It's not like this very smooth thing that you can keep doing and doing. I mean, of course, when a company grows and has structure, and it's different. But again, we're talking about a startup here. So yeah, it wasn't easy to keep doing this. It needed a lot of energy and a lot of
Mhm.
time, and I didn't have that luxury to keep doing it over and over and over again. Yeah, it was affecting my, again, my other time, which is as an educator. I have the
Right.
task, I have research, I have like I have to put time and effort there. So
And what would you it also looks like you were able to take pieces of it and quenching your thirst for that within your academic setup. So
definitely.
if I understood you correctly, like the hackathons and other things you're doing that you used to do at Riyadh,
Right.
now you're doing them under a different, so that's satisfying you a little bit.
And that was the reconciliation, I would say. Like that was my
Mm.
promise to myself when I took this tough decision. I was like, I'm not letting go of the impact. I'm not letting go of the vision. I'm just rewiring how it's happening. And I promised myself, like, as I grow in my new career, which has, again, room for growth, I will do more impact. So that was like a personal promise that allowed me to take this tough decision as well. Uh,
Nice. And for the people who are going through your stage of either they fell or they failed, you said you retreated from the playground, which is the ecosystem. You
yeah,
journaled a little bit.
yeah.
You self-reflected. What would you advise people who are going through something similar today? What would you tell them to do?
I would tell them everything happens for a reason, and that many times we just blame ourselves for it. Like, I did that. And you would remember tiny stuff. Like, for example, as I'm reflecting, I would remember this one meeting when I was with the team, and maybe I was a bit harsh. And I was like, oh, I was a bad leader, that's why it failed. And and then I would like say, okay, well, take it easy on yourself, like you did great stuff. And I remind myself about all the achievements and things like that. So don't blame yourself too much. I mean, I totally believe that everything happens for a reason, and that no matter what I would have tried doing, things would end up where they are now. It's meant to be. So again, this is part of believing and the spirituality side of me. So this helps a lot. I mean, definitely my like the time I spent in doing prayer and things like that increased during this period of time. I needed this higher order reflection. And it helped. It definitely helped a lot in, again, getting to feel easy with this decision and with the new reality. And I'll tell you one thing, like one thing that was a direct consequence is that suddenly I had space in my life, and I wasn't used to this. Like my life was super busy, I always had events and you know and suddenly I had time on my hands, and it was like I'm not used to this, right? So it was difficult to deal with that at the beginning. Like, what do you do with free time? I didn't know what to do with it. But then I was able to calibrate, let's say, and to still do meaningful things, but sometimes just focus more on yourself, on your well-being, engage a little bit with sports, physical activity, socialization. Like I was not socializing on a personal level when I had the business and I was doing education at the same time. I just had always my all my socialization was around business, which is good, but I don't know if it's super healthy as well. So sometimes you just need personal socialization, So that was also one funny aspect of funny, but at the same time, it didn't feel funny at all. It was traumatizing. Like,
Hmm.
I feel a gap. There's a like gap in my life. But everything just works. But you have to give it again time and acceptance, I would say, and reflection helps definitely. Is the thing that probably helped me the most.
Muna Itani, Dr. Muna Itani, change maker, innovator, educator, entrepreneur, mother, believer, all all aspects, at least that's and counting and counting. Thank you very much for the time. Is there anything you would like to say at the end?
Yeah, I want to say one thing is that when people sometimes hear these stories, like they only think about the positive part and like how rosy the picture is. I mean, in reality, it's not always rosy. And this is one thing we have to keep in mind. Like, even if we want to succeed or say at some point we succeeded, this will come with many, many, many hardships. Uh, and I think, again, this knowledge would help you or me or anybody keep going. So this is something I want the viewers or the listeners to keep in mind. It's never a rosy picture and everything is great and look at this very successful person. It's never like that. Every journey is full of, hiccups, ups and downs, especially in entrepreneurship. We always put this graph. It's never like linear. It's always full of bumps. So this is something just to keep in perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
You're most welcome.